Welcome back. Welcome back to Unfiltered Unspoken. And we told you we're going to keep sharing life experiences so that we can help you through someone else's life experience start the journey to healing. I want to welcome Latoya Washington to Unfiltered Unspoken Podcast. And I'm bring Latoya right on up. Welcome, Latoya, to Unfiltered Unspoken.
Thank you. Thank you, Demetria. So glad to be here.
It's an honor. If you could tell us a little bit about yourself, Latoya, and then Sid is going to kick off the first question.
Sure thing. So, my name is Latoya Washington. I'm born and raised in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. I currently live in Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania with my husband. I am an entrepreneur of a Christian apparel line. We sell books, music online, as well as we do courses to teach on your spiritual journey with the Lord. Again, I'm an author. I'm also a podcast host, I'm a wife, and most importantly, I'm a servant in the kingdom of God. And I'm so happy to be here.
Thank you again for joining. So we like to kick off normally from the beginning. Growing up, what was life like? What was your home atmosphere like? Your family unit? Did you experience any traumas while growing up? Kind of take us into that part of your life.
Sure. I grew up in a single parent home until I was 9 years old. My mother got pregnant at 15 and then had me at 16. So she was a teenage mom. And one thing I love about the testimony is that she was actually going to have an abortion, but something just wasn't settling right within her. And so she started to ask questions. And when the doctor answered those questions, she got off the table. And I'm here today. And it has not always been easy. I have experienced, father issues because I didn't have a relationship with my natural father. So I dealt with those daddy issues. Also had some issues with mama too, trying to figure things out, trying to understand, why I didn't have a relationship with my father or why he wasn't there. And so went through those moments of rebellion, just trying to find my way, and just trying to figure things out. Um, when I got older, I went through some sexual abuse. I was sexually assaulted by my ex husband and went through PTSD. I was scared to go home at night, so I would try to do everything before the day, ended and sunset. And it was really traumatizing. And I didn't realize how much that messed me up. When it came to trust, when it came to, relationships, going through that made it difficult to trust people in general. And then when I did trust people, and they would do things to hurt my heart, I found it even more difficult to open up. But thank God for healing. Thank God for healing.
Amen. Amen. Powerful testimony. So we want to dig even more into it now. So, growing up, you said that you rebelled. Can you tell us some of the things that caused you to rebel against your mother and your, I guess, step-in father at, you said you were like 8 or 9?
Yeah, so I think, well, the rebellion I would say came in when I was more like 18, 19. I thought, I'm starting to get my own voice. I'm out of high school, trying to find my way and thinking I know what's best. When we 18, 19, we think we know, everything. But I started to have my voice and started to realize that I have a voice. But I just did not know the importance of, just because you have a voice doesn't mean that's the time or the place to say things. And so I became, my voice was used through the anger that was going on within. I was mad. I was upset at some of the unfairness in life. Why didn't I have a relationship with my natural father when other people had a relationship with him? So it wasn't like I didn't know where he was, or I didn't know, when I got older, what was going on. I knew what was going on now that I was older, that he was living his life. He was doing his thing. And I was angry about that. I was angry about how come I didn't see him besides a child support check coming through. This child support check is not going to fill the void of missing Christmases and missing birthdays. And at that time, I didn't realize. Now that I'm 41, I do, that there was a lot of anger. And so really that rebellion was anger and frustration at such a young age, and trying to figure out, what way do I move forward now, and how do I navigate life?
Was he at the time around the same age as your mother, or was there any like age difference, significant age difference?
No, not really, not really. I don't think it was more than maybe 4 or 5 years, and that's the sad part. I'm 41 years old, and there's still a lot of things that I don't know in regards to the connection. I just know they were, young teenagers, and so I try to respect that, because thinking about my mom, that probably was traumatizing to her as well. Um, Dealing with whatever the dynamics of that relationship was. So I try to respect that, and know that she's willing to answer questions now more than ever. I definitely will say that, letting me know, hey, you might need to check and see if you got sisters, and check if you got, so she's opening up about that. So I appreciate that, but I also am respecting whatever could have happened during that time that may have been a challenge for her too.
So I wanted to ask, did you ever get a chance to talk to your dad and ask him why, or have you still haven't met him?
No, I have met him, and I got to a place, ladies, and this might sound so crazy, but I got to a place in my walk with the Lord where it didn't matter anymore. I was just content with my relationship with the Lord, to the point that I didn't need that void to be filled by an earthly father. And that might seem crazy to some people, but I finally got to that place where I was okay. So when I see him or hear from him, I don't really, have that animosity or anger, frustration, or questions. I'm actually good. Like, I'm really at a peaceful place where I just hope and pray he's okay. When we do talk, we talk about, what's going on in his life. He asks about my husband, but I don't go back to that place where I was before, where I was upset and angry and wanted to ask questions, but still had this level of like daddy's girl. Even though I don't have a relationship, like, you still see daddy in this way that it's just like Superman. So it's like, I don't want to bring that up. I don't want to talk about that. But really, deep down inside, I should have asked those questions. Um, so now it's like, I don't even want to ask those questions. Like, I'm good.
Even though you said your mother is kind of open to answering questions, are there even any that you had these days, or do you even go down that road with your mother at this time?
Oh yeah, my mom is like 100% upfront. I think she that filter has left her. I think when our parents get older, they kind of have like lose that filter or whatever. But she keeps it 100. She lets me know how it was when she was dating, or when she was, in connection, contact with him. But now that we're older, it's like, yeah, no, I'm just grateful that God used him to bring me here, and God used my mother to bring me here. And I respect them and honor them for that. It took a long time, ladies, to get to that place in healing, because a lot of my decisions were not the best because of my daddy issues, and because of what was going on anger wise.
Okay. I mean, very powerful. And I'm glad that you're in that place right now to forgive. A lot of folks aren't in that place to forgive.
Hmm.
I wanted to ask, so with the absence of your father, you now have another father figure. How was your relationship with
Hmm.
your your new father figure when you were a
My
child?
stepfather.
Your
Yeah, he well
stepfather.
he
Okay,
came along.
stepfather. Sorry.
Yeah. No, you're good. He came along and he just, jumped right in, and he loved my mom. So that meant a lot to me because I was such an old soul. I'm gonna be honest with you, ladies. I was such an old soul. So I would just be thinking about other people, and I'm like 9, 10, and I'm like so happy seeing the joy on my mom's face because she was a single parent. And so back then in the 80s, a lot of times people had this preconceived notion about how single mothers are. Not all single mothers are desperate. They're not begging and dying for any type of love, but I mean they want love and affection. And my mom just exude that confidence, like I'm not just settling for anything, but I know that she went through some challenges because she had a child. And I know that some people might have, misjudged her and whatnot. And so some of her relationships may have not been the best. I don't know the ins and outs, but when he came along, he just had this smile that he put on her face. So I love that. You know what I mean? I loved that he came along and he did that. He would cook. We celebrated Christmases, um, Easter. I mean, it just was like him bringing the family unit together, if that makes sense.
Well, that seems like it was a nice, change in dynamic, from before you were 9. Um, Now, I guess moving forward, what was kind of the next like pivotal moment in your life? I know you said you moved when you got a little bit older. You dealt with some sexual abuse. Was there anything between childhood and that point? Any like pivotal moments in your life that were significant into your kind of now that you are in your healing motion?
Well, I'll say one of the most pivotal situations is that, I had, gotten to a family disagreement with my mother, and I walked away from the house, and I was like, just left college or something. So it was like my freshman year. And I was like upset, and I don't even remember what it was about, but I know that it led into a couple years of being homeless and living living in the car, living on friends' couches, living on, people's floors. And it just was an uncomfortable season. And going through that season, this is where the self-reliance, the self-sufficiency really took place, where it was like, nah, I got to do what I got to do. You know what I mean? And yes, I want to finish college. And yes, I want to um, have somewhere to stay, but I don't want this feeling of not being stable. And so I went through a couple of years where I just did not feel stable and I did not feel comfortable and started to be self sufficient. And as a result, you know, that became pride. And it was hard for me to trust people to keep their word because this is something I tell people all the time, is that when you tell somebody, hey, if you ever need something, call me. Some people really, really believe that. And then when you don't follow through with that, it just felt like nobody's there to help me. And that's the worst feeling ever. And I felt that in that time period. I felt where it's like, I don't know who I can call on. I don't know who I can talk to. I'm living in this situation and it's like, who do I call on? And so it was very scary at that time. I was connected with some people that weren't the best and still naive, not knowing that some of the people were in the drug game, and me just being this cool, sweet person, just trying to have somewhere to stay and sleep, getting in friendships that I shouldn't have been in friendships with. And so it was just not the best place in my life at that point in time when I left home with my mom. Yeah.
So,
Oh.
going through homelessness, and I know you said you had to be that self piece.
Mhm.
How did you overcome that piece to come out of sleeping on folks' couches or floors? And did you ever look? And also, it's a twofold. Did you ever look back and say, "I wish I never got in that argument with my mother," and maybe you wanted to
Mhm.
apologize?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, now I realize when I said earlier about my anger issues, I had serious anger issues um because of having moments where I just didn't feel heard. And I think sometimes if we're honest, I can't speak for everybody's household, but it's just like, you know, children weren't allowed to really say anything. And when you had challenges, maybe at school or whatever, people didn't really have people to talk to back then, you know? And so I think a lot of that caused me to feel angry. Uh, my life, again, not having a relationship with my father, trying to figure things out. You know, why is that person have a relationship with him, but I don't, you know? And I became more and more angry instead of talking about it. So I think I should have had a conversation with my mother, um, at that time and maybe retracted how I was feeling and retracted my steps and say, hey, this is how I feel, and yes, I'm a little angry or yes, I'm a little frustrated, but please hear my heart. I think now that I'm older, I would have said that instead of just being stuck in my thoughts like, no, this is it. And I'm grown and I can do what I want type of thing. And I think she was trying to protect me too, because what's so crazy is when I got upset and walked away, the first place I went to when I found out where he was at was his house. I went to my father's house and he was like, oh, yeah, you can come stay here or whatever. And that's so crazy. I'm sharing this, but I'm gonna tell you how deep it got. So I don't even think I was there for a month, ladies. And it got back to me that he was talking about me staying there with him. And I wasn't even there for that long. And I was just like, it broke my heart. It broke my heart. So that kind of ties into what I was saying about how when people say, hey, I'll be here for you if you need me, that opportunity was to, first of all, I needed help. I needed somewhere to stay, but I was going to be living with my dad. I was going to be living with the person that like I couldn't wait to get to know. They get to know me. We do little, movies. And, I'm just thinking this little childlike 19-year-old thought process of how it was going to be living with father. And it didn't go that way. And that thing broke me. That thing crushed my spirit because it was like, and I never shared that with nobody. So praise the Lord. I'm sharing this with y'all on this podcast. Oh man. But I was like, um, ladies, I was crushed. I was crushed. I was really crushed with that. And I forgot the second part of the question because I remember that.
Oh, sorry. I was asking, did you uh what did I say? Did you want to tell your mother for to apologize to her? Did you like want to go back home?
Yeah, I think I ended up going back home. Um and then trying to get myself together, school wise, go back to school. Finances wise, it was a little difficult. So went through a period of time where I literally had to get a full-time job or a part-time job to finish school, and ended up moving in with, a boyfriend. And that relationship didn't work out. So then what did I do? I was out here living my life, partying, drinking, doing the thing, hanging out, in the hood and stuff like that. And then I met this guy who was my first husband. So it was like I was going through these decisions that were not the best. I was finding my way, pretty much. I was finding my way.
Now, when you left home, was it more so on a, I should say, pride basis, or were you actually like kicked out? Could you have went back home had you, you know, groveled at her feet, maybe possibly, or
Oh
was it just
yeah.
like a, did you stay, did you leave and stay out based on the fact that you just, were just trying to do it on your own? You just kind of had some pride behind you, or was there just really no
Oh
opportunity
yeah.
back?
Oh yeah, yeah. It definitely was pride. I really was trying to find my way. I think when you've had moments in your life where you haven't felt heard, or you're just a child, stay in a child's place type of thing, sometimes people don't understand the magnitude of that. So I do have something to say, and it's not that I'm trying to be rude or disrespectful. I have something to say. I have a voice too. So I was just trying to find my way and thought I knew what was best. And I mean, I'm 20 something years old. I don't know everything now that I look back. Definitely don't know everything. But I thought I did. Yeah.
Okay. So now you move out, you're finding your way, and you meet your first husband. First, I want to ask, I think this is a twofold is how much older was he than you? And uh, second, how fast did you move in with him?
I'll say so. With my first husband, what was so crazy was he tried to say he was like I'm laughing at it now, but he tried to say he was only a couple years older than me, like maybe 4 or 5 or something. But my grandma was like, nah, he got old hands. He got old hands or something like that. She's like, no, no, no. He's not no, he's not your age. And I was like, no, he is. So what happened was is that he was not from here. He was not from the United States. He was from Africa. And I I'm telling you, ladies, nothing against our African brothers, but I was like, my heart was telling me something wasn't right. But he was nice looking. He was saying all this stuff. He was talking that talk. He was fly. I want this type of life. And I want to, at the time, we would always talk about getting a actual, what's it called? It's like kind of like a boarding house type of thing, but fix it up real nice. Because a lot of the Africans that were in the area at the time where I was living, they didn't have nice places to stay. So they would usually all be in one apartment, and everybody's story is different. But the ones that I knew, they would be in all in one apartment and be a one bedroom with like 6, 7, 8 of them. So I was like, you know what, that'd be nice to get a house and make it up all nice for them. They pay us rent, bam, 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 as a business idea. So we were making plans, making plans, making plans. And he's just like, why don't we get married? And girls, when I'm telling you, I wish I would have listened to the Holy Spirit, because I didn't think it was the Holy Spirit talking to me, because I was out in the world acting a fool, y'all, acting a whole nut. So I'm sitting here like, no, this can't be the Lord telling me no, no, no. I mean, loud as day. No, 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 no. And I was like, well, I mean, you sure? So ladies, we end up getting married. Well, first of all, let me backtrack just a little bit. We planning this wedding. And I always wanted a nice wedding. Always wanted a nice wedding. This is my first wedding. I'm looking at bridal gowns, all kinds of stuff. He's looking at tuxes. He's getting his groomsmen together, who's going to be, and we're seeing about flying his family in, how much it's going to cost. The plans seem normal. Then all of a sudden, he's like, "Why are we going to wait this long to get married?" And I'm like, well, what do you mean? It's just, it's next year. We planning. It takes a year to give people time to fly over here, give people time to get their dresses. That's what I'm thinking in my head. And he's like, well, we got plans and this is what we want to do. And we want to get this house together and all this other stuff. But ladies, Demetria, when I tell you, I'm like, well, we can get married then now. I mean, got married August 2000, and was it 2008? No, no, not August, October 2008. We had the conversation in August, and then we end up officially getting married October 2008. And when I tell you, all hell broke loose. I should have listened to I should have listened to the Lord. I mean, I'm still young. I'm in my 20s. I'm thinking about maybe 20, 23, 24 right now. I'm not sure, because time has truly flew by. And so All hell break loose. I'm working late. I'm working 2 jobs. Now all of a sudden he can't even keep a job. I don't know what didn't happen. I'm like, what? You got fired from where? Like, why all of a sudden you can't? I mean, all hell breaks loose, ladies. And I'm getting off one job at like 3:45, rushing to get to the second job, and then coming home. And it's all these Africans in my house at 12 o'clock at night. And I'm like, what? Now one that them business plans, now one conversation after that about them business plans. His so-called mother was supposed to be coming, didn't hear nothing else about the mother. It nothing. So all the compromising to say yes beforehand when God told me no, I said yes. This was the consequences of it. And literally, we got married in October. I was hospitalized in December because I was hemorrhaging. I'm talking about hemorrhaging. So I loved this man. I had loved this man because not only that, I said yes to the marriage, and all of this is going on. The stress of it, I think it was the stress of it. It was the fact that I was working 2 jobs for us to have food on the table, for us to, do what we need to do because all of a sudden he's getting fired from his jobs. So we then, what happened? I think we ended up moving. Oh, I hope I'm holding y'all up. I don't know.
Oh no, speak your truth,
You
sweetie.
probably
You
getting into
you
stuff you
fine.
can ask
Cause
anyway.
I
It's okay.
yeah, exactly. Go ahead.
Okay. So we ended up staying together. We separated for a little bit because we was just bumping heads. We was bumping heads. And when I tell you that it was 2010, we're still married. And what was it? I was getting tired of like going out. I was getting tired of clubbing, excuse me, partying. I just was tired. And I just started to feel the Lord like really calling me. Like, this is it, Toya. Like, this is it. You need to get your life together. And my marriage at the time was like really taking me to that place because I was so depressed. Like I was so depressed. He was partying, he going out, he living his life. You know what I mean? You know, and so I can laugh now, but I wasn't laughing then. But he would be so drunk wherever he was, he would butt dial my phone and leave messages. So I heard the girls in the background talking to him, and I hear him talking to the on my answering machine. You know what I mean? And it was like, God, what is this? It got worse and worse and worse. And I'm like, God, what is this? Sorry, ladies, that's mom. I'm like, what is this? And I finally was like, you know what? I'm saying, yeah, this is it. I'm saying yes to you. And that is when February 2011, we officially separated. And ended up getting a divorce in 2012. So after we separated in February, got a divorce May 2012. And he did not think that I could get a divorce on my own because he thought that I had to get an attorney, but I just so happened to I just so happened to know an attorney. So she hooked me up and I said, what do I need to do? And she gave me all the paperwork. We met at a Wendy's. I'll never forget it. And I didn't know what to do. And I was like, do I even want to do this? Do I even want to get a divorce? Or like, because maybe he can change. Maybe, maybe it's me. And, I was going through all of this, ladies. And so finally I asked him one question. I said, why do you love me? And he could not answer that question. And that was why I divorced him. And I did not go back. He couldn't answer the question. And that spoke volumes to me.
I would
Because I said,
just
if
love to
you,
say, like, was there like a final act, final straw that kind of just made you realize it's like I can't do this, like, because you dealt with it for a little bit. So was there
Mhm.
some, was that just the particular moment where it all made sense of what you needed to do?
Yeah, and then not only that, like I said, I was getting voicemails of what you doing that night. Like, I don't want to hear that you're at the club and we're separated and you're calling me the next day or calling me when you wake up from your hangover that you love me and you care for me. But I got this voicemail, it was multiple. So I was just like, do you think I'm stupid? Because I had just, rededicated my life to the Lord. So it's just like I'm just like a year in, trying to get my life right, going back to church, all that other stuff. And it's just like, do you think I'm stupid? And I was just like, I'm gonna ask this question. I said, Lord, I'm gonna ask this question. And if he cannot answer this question, that's it. And he could not, ladies. I'm talking about I asked that question over and over and over again, and he could not answer. And so I went inside. The last time I asked it, I went inside and bam, I signed those papers. And when he got them,
Good.
he thought it was a joke. He did not think it was serious. I said, "Hey, here's the divorce papers. I need you to sign them." And he was like, "Oh, you girl, this ain't real. This ain't real." And I said, "Yes, it is. Yes, it is." And so he signed them. And so it took I think about 2 months to be finalized. And it was finalized. And he sliced my tires.
What?
He sliced my tires. He sliced my tires. And I guess I guess he must have been convicted, whatever. I don't even know. Because he comes and he knocks on the door and he's like, I'm so sorry. He's like, I cannot believe you really did this. I can't believe that I can't believe this is real. And he said, I sliced your tire. So I thought he was playing. I said, man, I'm so tired of this. Like, please, come on, just chill. So I go downstairs, and sure enough, them tires were sliced. And it wasn't all of them, but still, it was enough because I was like, oh my gosh, I don't even have the money, none of that. So I had to call my best friend, and she gave me money, and we had to get the tires, the tire that was sliced, get that, fit, get a brand new one. Yeah.
Wow.
All of
So is
this. Oh, go ahead, hon.
I was gonna ask, you went through
She like, girl.
uh I'm assuming verbal abuse. Now is he the same
Yeah.
guy with sexual abuse as well?
And I was gonna fast forward to when the sexual abuse occurred. Yeah. I
Okay, we
so
ready.
after okay, so after the divorce and the tire slice and whatever, I didn't hear nothing from him other than just like text messages and him just saying, "Hey, how you doing?" So I mean, I'm almost done with. I had now went back to college. I was doing, working 2 jobs and also going to school part time. And so I was just excited. My year was coming down to graduate, and I was ready to start looking for jobs. So that's what my focus was. So when he called and when he texted, I didn't think nothing of it because we're divorced, but we still were cordial with each other. Made sure each other was okay. So in the summer of 2012, I'll never forget it. I had went to Wilmington, North Carolina for an interview. Came back and I literally just walked through the door. I just walked through my apartment door. And while I'm in there, I hear the knock. And so I was like, oh. So I literally turned around real quick, unlocked it, and I was like, "Hey, what's up? What you doing?" And he's like, "Hey, I need to talk to you, you know." And I'm like, "What's going on?" And I didn't even think that he smells like alcohol. I didn't even think nothing of it because I knew he drunk and, I stopped drinking and stuff. So that was what he was doing. I wasn't doing it no more. So I didn't think nothing of it. And then he's just like, you know, you look beautiful and, what's going on? Where was you at? I came the other day. You wasn't here. And I was like, oh, I was in North Carolina for a job interview. And I'm just talking to him normal in the kitchen. And ladies, I just still to this day don't know what triggered him to go too far because he knew like I was your ex-wife. You understand what I'm saying? Like I was your ex-wife. I wasn't dating anybody. I wasn't thinking about nobody. I'm focused on graduating and graduated, trying to find a job, trying to move out the area, all that other stuff that I wasn't thinking about this going to where it went. And he's just using so much force that it felt like I froze, if that makes sense. Like it was just like, this can't be happening. Like, then I started to think it was my fault. Well, maybe I shouldn't have opened the door. I shouldn't have just been relaxed. I should have just been on guard. I should have just kept. So I started to then go into that, and then the fear set in, you know, and he's just so once he was done, it was like I just stood there and he walked out he just walked out the apartment. And I'm just like, first of all, this is my ex-husband who I love dearly. This was my friend, right? Because we had just texted, how you doing? Oh, so it was like this can't be like this can't this didn't happen. And I remember going into the bathroom to clean up and I'm just like, this can't be. This couldn't have happened. And so I learned when I started to go to counseling afterwards. And my gynecologist, who I love her name was Nicole. She's no longer my gynecologist because she didn't move somewhere else. But when I tell you God put this woman in my life, she helped me so much. She was like, listen, we need to do a rape kit. We need to make sure you're okay. And this is my gynecologist because I was like, I had no clue. Like I was like, this cannot be real. And so she helped me in those months afterwards, but I was messed up. I'm talking about I'm looking both ways. I'm, going to the grocery store. I'm making sure that like I have I had like it's not knuckles, but remember the brass knuckles back in the day? But they had this lady at my job had what was called like for the scrotum, and it literally was able to just like, you know, get the man's, gonads or whatever. And she was like, here, put this on your keychain. She said, so no matter where you are, if you need to protect yourself, here. I ended up getting a gun license. I was terrified. And it was like, where did this step in at? Where did this occur? When did this happen? And it was like I trusted this person. Yeah, we were divorced, but I trusted this person. I let the person in. Like it wasn't like he barged into the house and I let him in. I let the intruder in. And ladies, that messed me up. That messed me up for a long time. And not only that, I was still serving the Lord and I didn't tell nobody at my church.
Wow. So
Nobody.
were there any I guess conclusions or results of the rape kit? Did you go forth with any, charges?
No,
What?
no, I didn't. I didn't. I think part of me was still protecting him, if that makes sense. It was like I'd rather just deal with it by myself. I ended up telling my sister and my best friend, so they knew, and they worked with me. They're like, yeah, you need to go to a counselor, just talk it through, whatever. But I was really scared, so I definitely went through PTSD, because this was somebody I knew. This was somebody that I cared for, and never once thought that by me opening up that door, that it would get to that point. The smell was him. I mean, I smelled him for months because it was like, why didn't I pick up on that smell? Why didn't I, why didn't I? And I kept pointing the blame at me. And the counselor was like, that is not your fault. That is not your fault. Yeah.
So, did you not hear from him anymore? Did he just disappear?
No, he didn't disappear. And I think it might have been almost a year later, because he reached out to me. This is what's so crazy. This is why I said it was such a challenge with um, healing, because he reached out to me as if everything was normal. Like, and I said, are you really going to you really going to call me as if nothing happened? Like, are you serious right now? And he was just like, I think it was INS or something, needed proof that we were still married. And I was like, no, we're not married. Like, we're not married. We're divorced. We've been divorced since 2012. Like, we're not married. So he wanted to kind of like rekindle, and I'm like, dude, like, are you oblivious to the fact that not only are we divorced, but not long after our divorce, you assault me. And then you're going on as normal with your life, but you realize INS is on your tail. So let me go back to my wife now. But you're going to act as if nothing happened. So that was the conversation we had. And he said that he wanted to make it work and he's sorry. And I said, no. I said, no. So the last time that I saw him officially was like, I think 2014 was the last time I saw my first husband. And it's
So he
now
used you pretty
2023.
much. So he pretty much
Yeah.
used you to get a green card.
That's all it was, girl.
Mm-hmm.
That is 100% real. That's exactly what it was. And guess what? That's why the Lord said no. But I'm young and think I know, and stubborn. And he said no. The Lord said no, clear as day. And no, I don't think that God's like, see, this, I wanted this to happen to you. I wanted the assault and the abuse, and I didn't want you to experience that. But I did tell you no. And he knew why. And I didn't. So
Wow. Well, after that point, I know that was a huge kind of turning point for you there, but you were already, kind of within your spiritual journey. How outside, I guess outside of the religious part of it, how did you really kind of work through that, work through those issues? I know you said you did kind of go see a therapist.
yeah.
What was I guess the plan for you that kind of got you out of that? What all went into um the kind of game plan that you had, whether that was through religion or through your therapy? What steps did you take to kind of get past that moment?
Well, I'll say that I became very, very guarded. Now and now that I've, let a lot go, forgiveness, like Demetrius said, I had to go through a process where I had to forgive people. I had to forgive myself, but I became very guarded. I was, what was one thing I would say? The guarding, like guarding my heart. Literally, I was like, this ain't happening. I became more assertive. I spoke my mind a lot more. One thing I will say that helped was writing. This is where the writing came in, the journaling came in, singing and worshiping the Lord helped me. Um, my friends, I mean, they were there. They talked me through it. We went to the doctors. They were there with me. It was like that support system I needed from them really helped me. Yeah, but I became very guarded, which took a long time to like slowly let that go a little bit. But it helped me though. It helped me to like pay attention to my environment, pay attention to my surroundings, be more aware. Don't be so loosey goosey and walking around at night as if you don't know nothing. Like pay attention, you know. And so it was like being guarded wasn't a bad thing, but I realized it was like starting to get, I was starting to get being a tough cookie, like even more than I should be.
Hmm. And I want to go back. I want to jump because I want to see if something connects. You made a statement. You said when you were younger, you went through challenges in school. Can you tell us some of the challenges and did it affect you into your adulthood?
Yeah, I would get picked on because I was always a chunky girl. And I was born with a club foot. So it was like I had difficulties walking, and the doctors did tell my mother that she's not going to be able to walk, but my mother and my grandmother and family had prayed. So I still kind of have a limp a little bit, but it's not like it used to be. Um, so people would pick and people would make fun because I was a big girl. And so I would always keep my mouth shut instead of saying something. But in result of doing that, I became very, very angry. So that's why I was like, I finally have a voice now. So I'm gonna say what I want to say. You're not gonna come at me. I'm gonna come at, you know what I mean? And it's just like, well, you can't do that with everybody because of what you didn't speak up about, or kind of like that bullying. And then so when I got older, I just really spoke my mind, because you're not going to bully me, you're not going to put me down. And just because I'm a big girl don't mean I'm not cute, and don't mean that I can't dress and all these other things. So it was like I was always trying to when I got older, kind of defend myself in a way. But I felt defenseless. And that was like, wow, it must be my fault because I missed this, or um, I didn't pay attention to that. So this person got over on me because clearly I missed something or I misjudged something. So yeah, I think that played a role. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm gonna piggyback real quick because that. So when you met your husband, because I see an insecurity there. Were you insecure when you met your husband? Because it sounded like he preyed on
Mhm.
a vulnerability piece, and you see this
And yeah.
handsome, attractive guy, and he want me, so it's like that will.
Mhm.
So he preyed on your
And that's it.
vulnerability.
That's
Okay.
it, sis. And I think that a lot of men and women experience that. And it's just like, how do I navigate that? Well, you need to be secure in who you are in general, so that nobody can come to you with that foolishness. Nobody can come to you with the manipulative games and preying on your mama issue, your daddy issue. You see what I'm saying? Because I know this about you, and I know you're vulnerable because of that. So I'm going to prey on it. And being a victim or experiencing someone prey on you, that's the worst feeling ever, because it's just like, what? You know, it just makes you second guess. Well, what am I showing, or what am I revealing that you felt like you could just, come at me like that? So a lot of self-examination was required to heal.
And just so we don't kind of leave the story of your life on a sour note, what what were kind of the what was the lead up into your current marriage, or where you found the end game and the happiness.
Oh man, you know what's so funny? My husband, David Washington, so that's my baby. So we met in college, which is so funny. We met in college in 2000 and at Cheney University. So we met at Cheney University. And we were just like cool. We experienced like one kiss in college, and then I didn't see him again until like a frat party a couple years later. And then, then I didn't see him again for 15 years. And then the Lord brought us together. We reconnected on Facebook. And he's like, hey, and I'm like, hey, and that conversation started, and I was so ready, and I didn't think I was ready. Ladies, I was so scared. I was so scared. I had did a background check. He laughs at it. He said, you really did a background check on me? I said, yes, I did. I said, because you got to understand what in the world I experienced before we reconnected. And so he laughs about it. But I was so aware that I was like, I'm not going through that same foolishness again. Do you have children? I asked all kinds of questions. I said, are you gay? Do you like you do you like I asked everything, because it was like I went through a point in my life where so much with my first husband was unrevealed, that it's just like I didn't know the person. So I want to know you. I want to get to know you. I want to have a conversation, but I was scared. I was very scared. And so, he came in my life at the right time because I was totally dependent on God. I asked God questions about my husband. I was like, so how is he? Is he trustworthy? And God would show me he's trustworthy. And he would just speak to me that, okay, you can trust him. Your heart is safe. And I fell in love with my husband's heart, his heart for people, his heart for children, his heart for his family. And that's when I knew, I was like, I'm safe. And that was the first time that it was like, I'm safe. You know what I mean? When your heart is safe, when even with your frailties, even with your vulnerabilities, even with your insecurities, I'm safe with you. That's the one. That's the one. And I'm grateful that God gave me a second chance at love. Yeah.
See, that's a beautiful thing. Look at a lot of stories have happy endings once you invest in yourself and start loving yourself. It fills the room
Yeah.
with love, right? So I want
Yeah.
to ask someone. We almost at time, and this is beautiful. So I want the audience to know some of the techniques that you use to start the journey to healing to overcome the traumas that you went through.
Yes. The first thing is I had to be honest with myself and say, you got issues. You have to address what's going on within you. What's going on that you're making these decisions. That's the next thing. And your decision process. Why am I making these decisions or disregarding sound wisdom from people who who love and care for me, but why am I being stubborn? Why am I choosing not to listen? I had to take a good look at myself. Um and be honest with myself. Ask those hard questions. Ask people around me that I trust, on this journey, and say, well, sometimes, am I a little stubborn? That was, I'm a little hard headed a little bit. My best friend's like, oh yeah, girl, because we keep trying to tell you, you rather bump your head than to just listen. And it's just like, oh, I never realized that. So I started going down this personal journey. Of accountability. I started thinking about how I wanted to live a long life, how I want to live a prosperous, healthy life, not just prosperous in money, but prosper where I'm at peace. And I wanted peace and I desire peace. I started to evaluate my circle. Who am I around? Are we pouring into each other, or am I just taking away from you, or you taking away from me? And we ain't even, it's not a reciprocal relationship. So I started to evaluate my circle. And I started to set goals. I finally finished college. I went and got my master's. I went and, got a certificate, in being a life coach and all these different things, and finally finished a book. And I started to look at, God, what do you have for me to do to be a blessing to other people? And it stopped being just about me. So once I addressed my issues, and I'm still working on it, y'all, I ain't perfect, but I started to really look at myself so that I can be a blessing to other people. And when I started to see, wow, there's another Latoya out there, there's another, Demetria out there that has went through what I went through, and she don't know how to get out of it, or she don't know who to talk to. And that's when it got real, because it's like I can help somebody. I can show them that, don't walk around with this insecure blanket, and because you didn't have a relationship with your father, and you're looking for your daddy and everything. You're looking for your daddy and this man and this job and that. No, your father is in heaven. You know what I mean? So that's what helped me.
That's wonderful. So we do like to take this last couple minutes up until our hour mark. We call this shameless plug. You do have your
Hmm.
information scrolling across the bottom, and you can take the time to let our viewers know um, the services you offer. If you have any projects or anything that you would like to draw traffic to, how they can reach you or utilize your services, you have the floor.
Thank you so much. If you would like to reach out to our book, we have two books. Broken Vessels, Letters to Abba is available on ramacreations.com and also amazon.com. And we have our second book that was released the beginning of this year. It's Concrete Rose, Secret Place to Abba. This is where we get down to the nitty gritty, and I share my different struggles, insecurities, and issues with transitioning into new spaces and all kinds of stuff the Lord has me write in this new book. And I'm also available for coaching and any type of help or assistance or guidance in your spiritual walk. You can visit www.ramacreations.com. I'm on Facebook, Latoya Washington writer page as well.
Okay, and there you have it. Latoya, thank you so much for being a guest on Unfiltered Unspoken Podcast. And we hope your testimony reaches so many and will touch so many so that they will be able to start the journey to healing, because it's so many women and men that are going through similar things as you are,
Hmm.
as you have went through, because you're healing right now.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
as you went
yeah.
through, so yeah, we want to see them start their journey to healing. And you hit a lot of valid and key points on this episode, and we truly appreciate your transparency and honesty.
Yeah. Thank you for having me, ladies.
My pleasure. So we want to thank y'all. We are at time for tuning into Unfiltered Unspoken Podcast, where we're going to continue to share life experiences of others in hopes that you will start the journey to healing. And as you heard, Latoya went through homelessness, rebelliousness because she wanted her dad there. She went through financial, verbal, emotional abuse, sexual abuse through her marriage. She had friends of no interest, just around the wrong crowd and more. So I hope that her testimony touched you. And like we said, we will be back sharing another life experience to help you start the journey to healing.